Amtrak design phases, answering the question of how many different ways you can organize red, white, and blue. When Amtrak was created in 1971, they inherited a hodgepodge of locomotives from a wide range of companies, all with different colors and designs. They painted a former Penn Central EMD E8, number 4316, in all black, with Amtrak's pointless arrow and blue and white safety stripes. I always liked the name Pointless Arrow. It means I have something in common with it. Amtrak has retroactively referred to this unofficial livery as Day 1, and recently celebrated the completion of one of their new ALC-42 locomotives with the livery. Oh, we'll get to you. Well, we all gotta start somewhere. Phase 1 was introduced in 1972, utilizing a combination of black, Amtrak red, Amtrak Heritage blue, and platinum mist or car body white, the latter typically being the main color of the locomotive or car. This phase gave some locomotives the dubious nickname of Bloody Nose, which, it's an SDP-40F, fair enough. Although not present on most locomotives, Amtrak's iconic stripes debuted in this phase as well, on the turbo train and turbo liners, as well as the Metroliner and passenger cars. "1975 saw the introduction of Phase 2, which brought the stripes to all of Amtrak's locomotives. This phase was also used on the new Superliner coaches because everything is cooler when it's double-decker. Phase 2 also had a livery variant for the Metroliners, making absolutely sure you knew who owned the train that was hurtling towards you. Phase 2 introduced the iconic stripes to all of Amtrak's fleet, gave the railroad a cohesive look, and the brand its own unique identity. At least until Phase 3 was introduced next year. In 1976, only a year after Phase 2 was revealed, it was replaced with Phase 3, lasting only slightly longer than the NFT market. This phase gave us a triband of equal width red, white, and blue stripes, flanked by platinum mist and car body white, with a black top. The triband's use on Amtrak's F40PH locomotives was iconic, and the pair was the power couple that carried Amtrak through the 80s and 90s. In the 1990s, some of Amtrak's new locomotives decided they couldn't compete with the F40PH and demanded their own Phase 3, and Amtrak provided, designing a special livery for the Genesis and Dash 8 locomotives with a new, deeper blue and red. People affectionately called the Dash 8 design the Pepsi can because it looked like Pepsi cans of the era. And, I guess, just don't drink the liquid from the locomotive. Phase 4 was introduced in 1993, making sure you knew which color stripe Amtrak liked the most. This phase went all in on the darker, deeper colors, which gave the livery a more sophisticated vibe. I feel bad for saying this, but I always forget about Phase 4. Typically when I think of Amtrak phases, I usually think of Phase 3 or 5, and I just gloss over 4, which is unfortunate because I really think this is a nice looking livery. Phase 5, on the other hand, it's a new century, and Amtrak said, let's go all in on gray. Platinum mist was always the main color of Amtrak's locomotives and cars, but the red, white, and blue stripes were always a prominent feature. With Phase 5, the blue is on top and the red has been reduced to a single thin line at the very bottom of the locomotive, leaving this huge spot of just blank. This feels like huge wasted potential and really makes the grime stand out super bad on these locomotives. Credit where credit is due, I do like the new Amtrak blue used in this scheme, and a Phase 5 Genesis has become synonymous with Amtrak for me. But man, this just feels so lazy, especially on the non-Genesis locomotives. Amtrak's excuse for high-speed rail, the Acela, also debuted in 2000 with a slightly more colorful scheme. The power cars have the same blue top and teeny red stripe as other locomotives, but the passenger and service cars have these colorful fin stripes, which I like. I've never really understood the Acela logo though. It's based on a sea turtle fin, and although they're good swimmers, I don't necessarily think of turtles when I think fast, especially for a land-based transportation service. Although to be fair, Amtrak said the logo was supposed to invoke stately and peaceful service, so take that as you will. Amtrak's overall logo got a refresh in 2000 as well, moving from the pointless arrow to the travel mark, and I like it. It's a bit simple, sure, but I think the simplicity is part of its charm, using negative space to suggest two rails curving towards the horizon over a field. I've never really understood the hate for the travel mark. Around this time, Amtrak started giving some of its services their own name and identities, and this meant unique liveries for them as well. Amtrak's Pacific Surfliner had a Notion-inspired livery, with liberal use of deep blue on the Superliners and F59 PHI locomotives used on the route. Even though I'm nowhere near the Pacific Ocean, I'm very familiar with this design, seeing it on Metro F59 PHIs they never bothered to repaint. Amtrak Cascades is based on the scenery of the Pacific Northwest, utilizing earthy and neutral colors like evergreen, Castilian copper, and double latte, with the logo being a golden nugget color. I'm not a huge fan of this logo. I think it could have been cool if they integrated the sea into it somehow, but the colors are really nice. Amtrak California has this interesting combination of navy blue, orange, and yellow, and I think it works really well for giving this service its own look. Amtrak Midwest had also started getting its own identity, with the completion of the SC-44 Chargers in 2017 and the Siemens Venture coaches sometime this century. Phase 6 is kinda weird in that it wasn't really a major overhaul of all of Amtrak's liveries, specifically just the passenger cars. Introduced in 2002, it also goes by the name Phase 4B, since its design emulates the blue-dominated stripe of that phase, although using the new Amtrak blue and red colors. But the official Amtrak livery and logo guide calls it Phase 6, so go argue in the comments, I guess. Amtrak's new ALC-42 locomotives came with a new livery, with locomotive number 300 being painted in a design which Amtrak also calls Phase 6. I'm calling this one Phase 6B since it's markedly different than Phase 6/4B. Are you confused yet? I really, and I mean really, like this scheme. It utilizes multiple different colors of the Amtrak design, but in a way that's pleasing to the eye and that complements the shape and flow of the locomotive. The red arrow at the back isn't my favorite thing ever, but I like how it's a callback to the pointless arrow logo. Overall, I really like this design and I can't wait to see it used on more locomotives. Phase 6B was what Amtrak referred to as a transition livery, something I guess to hold us nerds over while they perfect their true new livery. With all that time to prepare, I'm sure their new livery will be breathtaking. What the hell is this? Okay, so I don't hate Phase 7 that much, but I do feel like it's a downgrade from 6B. The colors are nice, including this new midnight blue color, but the design just feels uninspired. The white stripe doesn't flow with the curve of the locomotive, and apart from those stripes, there's just really not much going on here. Again, it's not bad. The colors are pleasing to the eye. I just think I would have liked it if they chose just one blue to work with and were a bit more creative with the colors and stripes. Overall, I'm looking forward to the direction Amtrak is headed. Although I complained about it, I like how Phase 7 will be the first long-lasting Amtrak phase where the locomotive isn't mainly platinum mist gray, or any gray for that matter, and a new design is always exciting, especially when it coincides with the release of a new locomotive. And dear God, anything is better than Phase 5.